Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about expressing yourself through art. Isn't that a thinker? And luckily, I have Jaymes here who's going to help us think about this in a whole new way. So thank you so much, Jaymes, for coming on to my show and sharing your time and your perspective with me. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me right now. So I truly value this. So let's just dive right in, right? When you think of the words expressing yourself through art, what does that necessarily make you think about?
Makes me think about like what I feel like I'm here to do. That's it's always been like the most natural thing in the world for me, and the thing that gives my life the most purpose.
I love that. I love that. And when did you necessarily find art? Like, or how did you stumble upon it?
Um, Basically, as soon as I remember being like conscious of myself, around like 3 or 4 years old, I just loved all types of performance. I got sent to like theater camps and stuff at a very young age, doing like musicals with like my kindergarten peers and stuff, even back then. And I think I got a little more aware of what I wanted to do with it as time went on. Uh, in like I guess early grade school, I developed a knack for writing poetry. And then in high school, my friends began starting bands and inviting me along because they liked the lyrics I wrote. And just they didn't like my voice. They just kind of stuck me on the drums and and said, you can keep it easy, you can write cool lyrics. Let's go. And then at a certain point, I realized that I needed to be out front, singing my own words and jumping around, dancing chaotically. And after that point, I just kind of never looked back. Like that was when it solidified in my head that this was what I needed to do, singing my words with some electric guitar behind me.
Oh, I love that. I love the fact that you just were drawn to it naturally from like, childbirth. You know what I mean? From the womb, you were probably jamming to the music that was in your mom's belly. You were just jamming on out probably. You know what I mean? Because to just have that conscious awareness at such a young age, you know what I mean? To always gravitate towards art and all types of art and then to lean in towards music. Oh, music is such a great way to express yourself in all types of way. And the fact that you were like, you know what? No, I don't. Yeah, I need to use my voice. I need to sing. I need to do what feels right. And then you did it. Oh, that's beautiful because I feel like art is truly a form of freedom. You know what I mean? Art is a form of expressing your pain, expressing the beauty, expressing love, expressing hate, expressing the anger, everything that comes from you, from your authenticity, from your heart comes out in art in such a way that there's no wrong. You know what I mean? There's no one can say anything wrong about what you're doing because it's you. And that's what's beautiful about art. So it's like, so I know you said that you lean more towards music. Do you think music is the best way for you to express yourself?
For me, right now, it is, but it feels like the most direct conduit to what's in my soul, just getting it out there through my voice and my presence. It feels like the most the purest form of self expression right now. But there's other stuff I like doing. As I said, I got started in poetry, which is also very pure, but it doesn't have the immediacy when it's not like delivered like in my own voice. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
I can make the text on a page very powerful and that hits, but I like the specific way uh, song hits me, and so that's kind of what I want to lead with. Um,
Yeah. I like that. I understand what you're meaning. I understand what you're saying because you could put words on a piece of paper and then pass it to somebody, but if they don't know where those words are coming from or the emotions that you put into those words or the pause and the dramaticness, you know what I mean? Like everything that comes into those words, I mean, it can mean so much more when it's coming from you directly because you know where how high and how low and how long a word should be and how, you know what I mean? So that when you say like poetry is something that you first started going into, like I understand it. Poetry is this beautiful form to start into and expressing yourself, especially in the arts. Start writing your emotions, start writing your experiences, start writing exactly how you feel because that's what makes it dramatic, you know what I mean? That's what makes it relatable, you know what I mean? Because we can see into your soul when you allow yourself to be expressive, you know what I mean? And that's what we want, you know what I mean? We want to see the beauty of all that you are. And I think that's the beauty of artists is that every artist reflects their soul in such a way that it's humbling, you know what I mean? It's humbling to see somebody else, you know what I mean, express their pain, express their story, express their love, you know? So I guess for you, it's like when you hear another artist, what is the first thing that you, what is the first thing that comes into your mind?
Um, I guess uh, I guess I'm most drawn to artists that seem to be coming from a similar place as I am. I'd say the two uh, like defining influences on my on the brunt of my work are romance and fantasy. You know, like mixing the truth of the heart with uh, the mystique of the magical. And so when I see other artists who kind of like have that kind of blend, they're not afraid to show their weird side. It really speaks to me like very personally. And those are kind of the artists that like made me even more certain that I wanted to be one too.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you because that's one of my lean-ins is that fantasy and that sci-fi and that the romance or the romance part of it. Oh my goodness, I love it because it's like the what ifs and you can twist and you can turn it and you can add a little razzle dazzle. You know what I mean? You can spice it
Yeah.
up in whatever way and it truly becomes like, oh man, I could lean into it. So I love reading books like that. I love listening to songs like that. I love listening to artists who know how to portray that because I agree with you. It draws me in like, okay, let me see how far we can go. Let's see how far we can really discover where this is leading us to. It's like Alice in Wonderland. Like for me, Alice in Wonderland is one of my biggest favorite movies because it's like it leads to anywhere. You know, anything is possible. You know what I mean? The impossible is truly possible. And I feel like with art, that's what it does. It allows the possible to happen and all the impossible that the rigid people don't understand or don't allow, you know what I mean? So that's one of my favorite movies. But what is one of your favorite movies?
Hmm. One that always stuck out to me. I have a lot of like favorite um like movies, like fantasy, sci-fi, a lot of like comic book movies and stuff. But one movie I watched more than possibly any other was Velvet Goldmine, which I don't know if it's like a very well-known movie, but it was like made I think in the '90s and set in the '70s, but a kind of like slightly surreal version of the '70s. It was kind of about the glam rock movement in the '70s, but like all fictionalized with like um, kind of more like cartoonish people. And in it, like Oscar Wilde, the like British author, was like an alien dropped off when he was like a baby on Earth by alien parents. And I like the kind of mix of like telling the truth of the spirit of an artistic movement, but injecting just a little bit of fantasy in it to make it kind of weird and surreal. It's kind of like
That's
magical realism thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is nice. I mean, that is interesting to imagine the both worlds colliding because I mean, I think we all have these moments in our lives or these crossroads where we feel like we're colliding with something else and then we don't know if it's going to be something beautiful or something ugly until we continue on walking forward and then you realize, you know what, it wasn't that bad. But that is true. But I have to ask you, is there any downfall of art that you may know of or you can consider?
I mean, in like the in an ideal world, no. In the world as it exists right now, I'd say it's a very unpredictable and very impractical way to make a material living. If what you're after is money, it offers no certainties. But I'm becoming increasingly aware that there aren't really a lot of jobs right now that do offer that kind of certainty. So at this point, it kind of feels like it's not that not that far below everything else on the whole um, financial remuneration scale. So that kind of gives me even more reason to just go for it.
Exactly. Like at this day and age, and nothing's set in stone. You know what I mean? Even doctors are losing their license. You know what I mean? The healthcare that was so, oh, it's always, you will always have a job in healthcare. Like, no, not always, and it's always not made for everybody. So yes, I agree. Like you might as well just do what you love because you don't know when you're gonna die, and at least you can die with a smiling face, knowing that you at least tried to do everything in your power to live by your soul. You know what I mean? And if that's by doing art and performing or drawing or writing or whatever it is that your soul is calling you to, then go for it because you only have one life. You know what I mean? You can live different lifestyles and do so many things, but you only have one life. So it's like we got to truly make the best of it. So I have to ask you, what are three things you're grateful for?
Hmm. Mm, I mean, this might sound a little trite, but honestly, my family, my boyfriend, and my art. Like those are the three things. I'd say like there are three pillars um, that like my life is built on.
Love it.
It's yeah,
Yeah.
it's I mean, it's even before I met my boyfriend. Love was always like that pillar, and now it's just manifested in a person.
Oh,
So yeah, those three things have always been like driving forces for me, and
oh,
I'm
I
grateful
love
that
that.
they're so wonderful in my life.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, some people can't even say that, you know what I mean? So it's something to hold value to. And if you are just happy to know that your family's still living and breathing and existing and still in your life, then embrace it. If you're happy that you find a boyfriend and he's there supportive and loving you through everything and think it then you know what I mean? Give it to your heart. And the fact that you love your heart, oh, sweetie, I love that even more because some people can even barely even stand to look at themselves in the mirror, but you to say that you love your heart, that's basically saying I love myself as a whole, as an individual.
I said art. I did say art, but my heart's
Oh, you
good
said
too.
art? Oh, I apologize.
But
I thought I
my
heard
heart,
heart.
my heart comes from my heart, so it's roughly equivalent.
Right, right. It's right there. It's side by side. It
Yeah.
works. It works. I like that. But yeah, art is something that I'm glad that you are grateful for. Is there any type of art that you're considering, like maybe in the future that you're possibly gonna dive into?
Yeah, so I've always like dabbled in acting and modeling. And as I said, like music just felt like the most natural way for me to express myself, and that's why I kind of like poured all my energy into it. But on the occasions when like acting gigs come along, I do give my all to them too. I just don't have, I mean, I don't know. Every artist, whether you're a painter, an actor, a musician, like whatever, like you kind of have, especially right now, you have to like pour like all your energy into it to like just like get anywhere in the business, right?
Yeah.
Like showing up and doing the thing, doing the art, like making the painting, singing the song, playing the role, like all that is comparatively easy, I think. Beside all the work you have to do to like get known and like promote yourself and everything. So I don't have like the bandwidth right now to do that for um like different mediums. Um, but yeah, I've always enjoyed uh thing because you get to mix like the truth of the role with the truth of yourself. You get to
Yeah.
um like live yourself as another person, and it kind of doesn't feel like a disguise. It feels like you're there, and expressing what the writer wants you to express. And I that's I'm so accustomed to expressing what I wrote myself to express in my own lyrics that it's kind of like refreshing to like um, embody someone else's view of the world. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm
absolutely.
looking forward to doing more of that when time permits and or when things come my way.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean. And I'm glad that you were so honest about, sometimes we have to just focus on on like the right now. And if right now is calling you to do music and do everything that embodies music, it's gonna be time consuming, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people realize like if you're going to put your heart into something, that means you're gonna have to put in some time with it. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to put in some real work into it. It's not as easy as people make it seem, like showing up singing, showing up acting, recording at this moment. Like there's other things that goes into play that a lot of people really don't consider when it comes to artists, and then they're like, yeah, but you're all you're doing is this. Like, no, you're doing more. You're putting in literally your heart and your soul and your energy and your time into everything that you're doing. And yeah, I think a lot of people don't consider that when it comes to art. And I also like how you were talking about acting and how that is something that you're dabbling into, and how you love to see the vision of the writer come to life in yourself. Oh, I think that is beautiful, because I don't think a lot of people realize, like, when you're an actor, it's not just yourself you're playing somebody else, like another body of who you could be, you know what I mean? In a representation. It's like a role, yes, but at the same time, it's like it's you stepping forward in a self that you never thought you knew before, you know what I mean? So it truly is beautiful the way that you said it, because a lot of people don't consider it in that way, because they think, oh, they're just playing a part. It should be easy. Like, no, it's not that easy. Sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes you have to put in the work. Sometimes you have to consider the emotions of what the writer's trying to get out of it. You know what I mean? So it really is a lot of thought process when it comes to it. So I'm glad that you were so honest about this, and about honest about everything that so far that you've been talking to me about, because I wish more people realize, like, that's another form of art, is just honesty. You know what I mean? Just being honest with other people, being honest with yourself, and not holding back. Like, that's a form of art that people don't even consider. For you, what is another form of art that people don't consider?
Hmm. Um, So one of my favorite mediums to like consume is comic books. I've been a big comic book fan since I was a kid, and I always thought it would be cool to kind of branch out my band into like different media. And I thought it'd be like my band's called Hot Apollo, and I think it would be cool to have like a cool, fantastical, like otherworldly kind of like I don't know, like even like maybe Dungeons and Dragons esque Hot Apollo comic book someday. And those cost, I mean, a lot to produce. Like a single issue, like can cost like almost as much as it takes to record like one album of music if you want to do it good. Um, but yeah, when like resources permit, I would love to help write the Hot Apollo comic book.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so funny that you said comic books. My husband loves comic books. When I say he loves comic books, he literally, for his birthday, he bought 50 comic books, like, of DC old style. Like, he is a big fan of the DC universes, and all of that. Like, he has down in his basement his little Batman cave, and he has his comic books, he has his action figures. God forbid I say anything else. Those action figures, all of that. It's his passion. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because people don't realize, like, even having a passion like comic books truly is another form of art that's underrated, because it is something that people can relate to. The superhero, the villain, you know what I mean, the stories, the plot. That's something amazing that people have dove into and gotten lost in those worlds. And the fact that you want to make your band a form of a comic book, oh, that's so awesome. I hope with time it permits that you get to do that, because that'll be so amazing to see. I would love to see that, because, man, to have that in a comic book setting is truly, since my husband got me into it, now I know, and now I have the appreciation. But if I wasn't before, I was like, oh, a comic book, okay, pass. You know what I mean? But no, now that I my husband has brought me into it, he has changed my perspective into comic books, and it really is interesting. It's even a pow, you know what I mean? Like, even
Yeah,
those one little words, it really does make it impactful.
a few of our
That
songs
is
are even based on comic books. One of our
really.
music videos too. Yeah, if he's like a fan of like old comic book like style, you should show him the video for our song Fistigons. That's not only like was like the idea for it inspired by my love of a particular comic book, but the director of the video was also happened to be after I already hired him, turned out to be a big fan of that same comic book. So he brought his own like take to it, and it's like visually like the best video we've ever done. It's called Fistagon.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, how awesome. Well, I am most definitely gonna have to check it out and have him see it with me, because that sounds exciting. Well, that is beautiful. How is that? How crazy the world works, where your vision ends up happening even in the slightest way by having another person with the same type of vision as well. That is the world lining up the way that it's supposed to. And you know that you're doing exactly what you need to do in this world, by putting yourself out there, by putting your heart out there, and just letting your art reflect exactly who you you are. You know what I mean? Allow people to misinterpret you in whatever way that they want, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what the naysayer says, because you're not there for them. You're there for you and your loved ones and anybody else who can relate to you, because that's how I see it. You know what I mean? If somebody doesn't relate to your art, it's because it's not for them. And out of the trillions and billions of people in the world, you're gonna worry about one person? I don't think so. You gotta keep it going and keep it moving. That's how I see it. But
Agreed.
it sucks to know that the time is catching up to us, because I could feel like I could keep talking to you, Jaymes, about all sorts of things. I'm loving this conversation. But what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Uh, find what you believe in and hold on to it forever.
There you go. That's simple, but it's true. Hold on to it forever. Don't let it go. People will shake you to let it go. People would test you to see if it's even worth you even holding on to it. But at the end of the day, in your heart, you should hold on to it, because it's your life. Yeah, exactly. It's your life. And if you're going to die one day, at least you're going to die knowing that you did exactly what you wanted because you followed your heart, you know? So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys want to know more about Jaymes, because how could you not? How could you not with this conversation, right? Please go check out his videos and his band. I have on Instagram. I have the link in the description. If you're listening in audio, if you're listening on YouTube, you have the link available so that you can continue on thinking, because he has great music, great posts, just so that we can continue on thinking. So with that being said, bye.